On July 20th, 1944, inside the Wolf's Lair, Hitler's secret command headquarters in East Prussia, a leather briefcase was placed under a conference table. On the table were military maps. Around it stood senior military officers and Nazi officials. And only a few feet away from that briefcase was Adolf Hitler. The man who brought the briefcase into the room was Claus von Stauffenberg, a German officer wounded during the North African campaign. That day, he came to report on the reserve army. But the briefcase did not contain military documents. It contained explosives. A few minutes later, Stauffenberg left the room, using a phone call as his excuse. The door closed. The meeting continued. Hitler leaned over the map. Under the table, time was still counting down. Then the explosion came. Smoke and splintered wood filled the room. In Berlin, the conspirators believed Hitler had been successfully removed from power. Operation Valkyrie was launched. But a few hours later, one shocking message arrived and collapsed the entire plan. Hitler was still alive. And this was not the only time. During his rise and rule, Hitler faced more than 40 assassination plots. So why did they all fail? Was it luck, or was something else protecting him? In today's video, we will look back at some of the boldest plots to remove the Nazi leader from history. Chapter 1: 13 Lost Minutes. The first story begins in Munich, just weeks after World War II broke out in Europe. Georg Else was a German carpenter. He was not a military officer, part of the ruling elite, or a member of a major resistance network. But he understood early that if Hitler remained in power, Germany would be pulled deeper into war. For Else, this was not impulsive. He believed that removing Hitler could prevent a wider war, or at least stop Germany from sinking deeper into bloodshed. So he spent months preparing his own plan. The target was the Burgerbräukeller beer hall in Munich. Every year on November 8, Hitler usually came there to mark the beer hall putsch of 1923. For Else, this created a rare opportunity: a fixed location, a repeated event, and a predictable schedule. For weeks, Else secretly worked inside the beer hall. He carved a hidden space inside a pillar near the speaker's podium. Then he placed a timed explosive device inside it. Everything was calculated to detonate while Hitler was still in the hall. On the night of November 8, 1939, everything almost went according to plan. Hitler was inside the Burgerbräukeller beer hall. The room was packed, the speech was underway, and inside the pillar, time was counting down. Then a powerful explosion shook the room. The area around the speaker's podium was destroyed. The ceiling collapsed. 63 people were injured and 7 were killed. But Hitler was not among them. He had left earlier than expected because of bad weather and a change in his travel plans. He left the beer hall at around 9:07 p.m., just 13 minutes before the explosion. A plan prepared over months had failed because of only 13 minutes. Chapter 2: The Bomb on Board. After 1939, Hitler pushed Germany deeper into war. At the same time, getting close to him became much harder. His schedule was kept secret. Every location was checked in advance. Around him were several layers of security. Inside the German army, a small group of officers began looking for a way to oppose him from within. One of the key figures was Henning von Treschow. At first, Treschow had seen Hitler as a leader who could restore Germany's strength, but that belief slowly collapsed. The war on the Eastern Front, Hitler's reckless decisions, and the crimes of the regime convinced him that Hitler was leading Germany toward disaster. In the spring of 1943, Treschow saw an opportunity. He persuaded his superior, Field Marshal Gunther von Kluge, to invite Hitler to Smolensk, where Treschow was stationed. Hitler agreed. On March 13, 1943, during a flight from Vinesta back to his headquarters in East Prussia, Hitler's aircraft stopped at Smolensk. During lunch, Treschow approached Lieutenant Colonel Heinz Brandt, an officer who would fly with Hitler. He asked Brandt to carry a package to East Prussia for one of his friends. The excuse sounded simple. Treschow said he had lost a bet. From the outside, the package looked like liquor, often described as 2 bottles of Cointreau. Brandt suspected nothing. To him, it was only a package of liquor. But inside was a bomb fitted with a detonator. Before the aircraft took off, Fabian von Schlabrendorf, one of Treschow's accomplices, secretly activated the timer fuse using a time pencil. The package was carried onto the plane. Around 3 p.m., the aircraft took off. On board were Hitler, Brandt, and the bomb. The device was supposed to explode in about 30 minutes. Schlabrendorf had started the timer by crushing a small glass vial filled with corrosive liquid. If everything worked, the aircraft could go down near Minsk. From the outside, it might look like an aviation accident. But nothing happened. Hitler reached his headquarters safely. The most common explanation is that the package was placed in a cold compartment, where the low temperature affected the detonator and caused the timer to fail. At that moment, the failed plot became a direct threat to the resistance itself. The package was still intact. The bomb had not exploded. If anyone opened it, Treschow, Schlabrendorf, and the wider network could be exposed. Treschow had to react immediately. He called Brandt and said he had given him the wrong package. His voice had to stay calm, as if it were only a small mistake. The next day, Schlabrendorf flew to East Prussia. He had to recover the package before anyone discovered what was inside. He met Brandt, exchanged the package for real bottles of liquor, and carried the device away. Only then did the resistance escape immediate danger. Hitler never knew how close he had come to a plot that could have changed history. Treschow had failed, but he had not been caught, and the resistance still had another chance. Chapter 3: The Failed Close Range. After the failed aircraft plot in 1943, the resistance group needed another method. If they could not neutralize Hitler from a distance, they had to get close to him. By late 1943, Claus von Stauffenberg had become one of the key organizers inside the military resistance. He was not yet the man carrying the bomb himself, but he was helping connect officers, opportunities, and plans. The opportunity came from something routine: presentations of new German army uniforms. These events could place officers near Hitler without raising suspicion. For the resistance, it opened a narrow but dangerous window. The first man chosen was Axel von den Busche. He was a tall German officer with the kind of appearance Nazi propaganda often promoted. That made his presence at a uniform presentation look legitimate. Busche's motivation was not only military disagreement. He had witnessed or learned about the crimes of the regime on the Eastern Front. To him, Hitler was the center of a system pushing Germany and Europe toward disaster. The plan was direct. Buschke would join the presentation. Once close enough to Hitler, he would activate the device he carried, sacrificing himself to remove Hitler from power. But the plan never reached that stage. A railway car carrying the new uniforms was destroyed in an Allied air raid. Without the uniforms, the presentation was postponed. Later, Buschke was badly wounded at the front and could no longer take part. The next man chosen, Wald Heinrich von Kleist, a young officer. The idea stayed the same. Use a uniform presentation to get close to Hitler, carry a hidden device, and act at very short range. Kleist understood the risk. There would be almost no way out, but he agreed, because the resistance believed Germany was sliding deeper into disaster. Once again, the plan collapsed before it began. Hitler canceled the meeting at the last minute. No presentation, no close access, no chance to act. Then on July 7, 1944, a third opportunity appeared. This time, the uniform presentation finally took place. The man expected to act was Helmut Stief, a senior officer connected to the resistance network. By then, the situation was far more serious. In the east, German forces were being pushed back. In the west, the Allies had landed in Normandy. For many German officers, Hitler had become the reason Germany was moving toward collapse. Stief had the chance to get close to Hitler. The distance was short. The conditions were better than in many earlier attempts. But at the decisive moment, he hesitated and did not act. There was no explosion, no change in power. Hitler left safely. After this chain of failures, Claus von Stauffenberg understood that he could no longer wait for someone else. If there was still one chance left, he would have to act himself. Chapter 4: Operation Valkyrie. By the summer of 1944, Germany was close to desperation. In the east, the Soviet Red Army was pushing German forces back. In the west, the Allies had landed in Normandy. The war was pressing Germany on both sides. For Claus von Stauffenberg, time was almost gone. He believed that if Hitler remained in power, Germany would collapse completely. So the plan was not only to neutralize Hitler, it was also the first step toward a military coup. The key tool was Operation Valkyrie. Originally, Valkyrie was a contingency plan for the German army to control unrest inside the country. But the resistance group modified it into a tool for seizing power. If Hitler was removed from the command center, they would use Valkyrie orders to control Berlin, isolate the SS, arrest loyal Nazi figures, and form a new government. Everything depended on speed. The message that Hitler could no longer command had to spread before any denial. If one link slowed down, the entire plan could collapse. On the morning of July 20th, 1944, Stauffenberg and Werner von Herften flew from Berlin to the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia. His official reason was to report on the reserve army. That gave him a legitimate way into Hitler's headquarters. Inside his leather briefcase were 2 explosive charges. Both had to be activated to increase the chance of success. But as soon as he arrived, the situation changed. The meeting was moved earlier than expected. Stauffenberg and Herften entered a small room to prepare the device, but they were told to hurry. There was not enough time. Stauffenberg activated only 1 charge. The second was left with Herften. Then he entered the meeting room. It was not the sealed concrete bunker expected in the original plan. It was a brighter room with several windows. Inside were Hitler, senior officers, and military maps spread across the table. Stauffenberg placed the briefcase near Hitler under the conference table. Then he left, using a phone call as his excuse. In those few minutes, one detail changed the result. An officer moved the briefcase to the other side of the table's heavy support base. Then the device exploded. The room shook. Smoke, splintered wood, and blast pressure filled the space. Several men were killed or badly wounded. From outside, Stauffenberg saw smoke rising and believed the plan had worked. He and Heften left the Wolf's Lair and flew back to Berlin to launch Operation Valkyrie. In Berlin, the resistance began to act under confused information. Some orders were issued, some units moved. But Hitler survived. When the explosion occurred, Hitler was leaning over the map table. The meeting was being held in a bright conference room, not a sealed bunker. The briefcase, which contained only one armed explosive charge, had been moved behind the heavy oak support of the map table. That support shielded Hitler from much of the blast. Operation Valkyrie could only succeed if everyone believed Hitler was no longer able to command. Once it was confirmed that he was still alive, the foundation of the plan collapsed. Chapter 5. The Price of Failure. After the plan at the Wolf's Lair failed, the Nazi regime reacted almost immediately. Within hours, control shifted back to those loyal to Hitler. At the Bendler block in Berlin, Claus von Stauffenberg, Werner von Haven, Friedrich Ulbricht, and Albrecht Merch von Quirnheim were overpowered. That same night, they were executed in the courtyard of the building that had coordinated Operation Valkyrie. Then came the wider crackdown. The regime targeted the resistance network inside the army, government, and civilian society. Thousands were arrested. Many were brought before the People's Court, which functioned more as a political weapon than a place of justice. Henning von Treschow, who helped organize the 1943 aircraft plot, ended his own life on the Eastern Front to avoid capture. Georg Acer, who had acted in 1939, was executed at Dachau in April 1945. The plots failed, but they left one question behind. If one had succeeded earlier, could Europe's history have changed? All the plans to neutralize Hitler failed because of small details: a changed schedule, a device that did not work, a canceled meeting, a moment of hesitation, or a briefcase moved just a few feet. No one can know for certain how history would have changed if one of these plots had succeeded. But this story shows one thing clearly. Even inside a totalitarian regime, there were people who tried to resist it from within. For the victims of the war, those efforts came too late. But they still leave an important lesson about responsibility, choice, and the cost of silence.